choice conversation. Open your eyes, your mind, your heart. Let's have a school choice conversation.
Hello, and welcome to Choice Conversations. My guest today is Halli Faulkner, National Policy Director with the American Federation for Children. And the American Federation for Children has released its 2017-2018 School Choice Guidebook. Halli, welcome. And tell us about the new guidebook. It's loaded with facts, figures, and rankings of private school choice programs.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm really happy to be here. I will say, on behalf of the whole AFC team, we're super excited to publish this guidebook. We've been compiling the information in it ever since January, and it spans all of the 54 private school choice programs across the country. We're really hoping more than anything, the guidebook can serve as a tool for states that want to improve their private school choice programs. Maybe some states want to create new private school choice programs. And so we're hoping that the guidebook can really help people in crafting really strong programs to serve kids and families in their states.
So paint us the big picture of private school choice here in America. I know since 2000 that growth of private school choice has been very impressive.
Yes, so in 2000, just 4 states had private school choice policies. And when we say private school choice, really referring to tax credit scholarship programs, voucher programs, education savings account programs. As we all know, there are many types of school choice now, charter schools, magnet schools, etc. But this guidebook focuses on private school choice. So in 2000, there were 4 private school choice programs. Programs in 4 states, and now we have programs in 26 states, plus DC and Puerto Rico. There are 54 private school choice programs across the country, so some states like Louisiana have multiple private school choice programs to serve the needs of different types of students. And we're excited because this year there are almost 500,000 students, so nearly 500,000 students enrolled in private school choice programs nationwide. And in the guidebook, you can see specific student enrollment information for more than 20 years.
So Louisiana, the book has rankings. Where do we rank?
Good question. So the guidebook kind of scores and ranks all the programs except for those programs that are restricted to special needs students or designed for special needs students. So of Louisiana's 3 programs, 2 of those programs are scored and ranked. So the voucher program doesn't do so hot. It's ranked 9 out of 11 voucher programs nationwide, mostly because it has some weaknesses around student enrollment and consistent funding. So, we'd like to see more families kind of learning about the program and choosing the program. The positive news is that Louisiana's tax credit scholarship program, which is formerly a tuition rebate program, ranked pretty high. So it's 3rd out of 18 tax credit scholarship programs nationwide. It has really strong school accountability measures. It has a high percentage of credit, 95% credit. It also has some really impressive accountability measures for scholarship granting organizations. So, we're excited about that kind of model law coming out of Louisiana and hoping that it can grow over time with more and more students and families enrolled and, using the scholarships to choose the schools that fit their needs.
Now, one interesting section of the guidebook was the highlighting of newer private school choice programs, and I was particularly interested in Puerto Rico with their experience coming out of Hurricane Maria. Of course, we had the Katrina experience now, 13 years ago. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about the 2 new programs as well. So in 2018, there are 2 areas, I guess, that passed new private school choice laws. So one was Florida, which passed their Hope Scholarship program for students who have experienced bullying or harassment, kind of revolutionary approach to school choice. And then, as you mentioned, passed in 2018 in the wake of Hurricane Maria, a law that creates both a charter school program and a voucher school program or voucher scholarship program in Puerto Rico. And we've been talking with people on the ground in Puerto Rico and really just hearing from parents how kind of excited they are in Puerto Rico that, their kids will kind of in the wake of this tragedy, have new school options much in the same way that, families did in New Orleans.
And then a very interesting part, I was kind of glad to see it in the guidebook, this section, Private School Choice, Myths versus Facts. And, we are always running across a lot of myths about school choice. So why did you put that in the book, and how do you think it'll be received?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Well, I'm glad that you're glad it's there because I'll be honest, we had some internal debate about, whether to include it and how much to include. But I think at the end of the day, we thought it was important that we kind of set the record straight in a way about some common misconceptions about school choice because, so often I think the media gets it wrong, and then that trickles down to kind of parents and families. And ultimately, I personally don't care what the media says about school choice. I just want parents and kids to have good school options. I'm a former middle school teacher myself, so school choice is really near and dear to my heart in that I want all kids to have, access to the best schools for their learning needs. So, we're hoping that school choice advocates can use those myths versus facts to kind of push back on some common misconceptions about school choice.
So the guidebook, a lot of information. How do you see it will be utilized by, really just people in general?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we see people use the guidebook. So far, in previous versions, people have used it mainly as a data resource, which we think is really important, right? If you want to know how much funding a program has, or how many schools are participating in a program, how many students are participating, what the regulations are for schools, et cetera, it's a really good source for all that data. What we're, I think, particularly excited about in this version of the guidebook is, as you mentioned, the scores and rankings. So we're not just giving information about the programs, but we're actually evaluating them. So what is the strongest tax credit program in the country? What is the strongest voucher program in the country? And maybe what are the weakest, right? Because we can learn from both. So I'm hoping, and I think the greater AFC team is hoping that more kind of advocates and stakeholders at the local level can use the guidebook to look at model programs and then compare them to their own programs and see areas for growth and improvement, which is ultimately what we're looking for, especially with the 2019 legislative sessions coming up sooner than we know it.
And that's really my favorite part, is looking at how other states are doing it and where Louisiana fits in that big picture. So the biggest question, how can I get my hands on it if I want a school choice guidebook from American Federation for Children?
Okay, so you can go to www.schoolchoiceguidebook.com. schoolchoiceguidebook.com. You can also go to the AFC homepage, so federationforchildren.org, and there's a link to it from our homepage. What's really cool about the landing page, schoolchoiceguidebook.com, is that you can enter in your email address and then get information on how to get a free physical copy of the guidebook. So if you're like me, I like to hold it and turn the pages and underline things. So if you want that free copy, just go to that schoolchoiceguidebook.com, put in your email address, and we will ship one out to you.
Halli, I thank you for joining us today, and this has been another Choice Conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Open your eyes, your mind, your heart. Let's have a school choice conversation.